Welcome to Redrum and Such, True Crime Discussion. Today, we will be discussing Dorothy Marie Robards, a promising young lady full of potential who killed her father, Stephen Robards. Was this a childish mistake of a 16-year-old girl, or is she evil? Dorothy Marie Robards, known as Marie, was the only child of Stephen and Beth Robards. Her parents divorced early in her life, and she lived with her mother. Their relationship was extremely close. Most observers said their relationship was more like sisters. Beth remarried to Frank Burroughs, a man that Marie did not really like the older she got, since it seemed he was pulling attention away from Marie. The new husband, Frank, was a strict disciplinarian, and Marie didn't like the rules. To make matters worse, Marie found evidence that Frank was cheating on Beth when she walked in on him with another woman. A confrontation took place where Marie stated she could no longer remain living in the house with Frank. She wanted her mother to choose her, but Beth chose Frank, stating that she knew she could work things out with Frank and that things would get better. Marie was sent to live with Beth's parents. After only 1 week, Marie took a cab back to her mother's home because she wanted to be back with her mom. She wasn't allowed back into the home because of Frank's strict rules and ways. He would not allow her to come back into the home. See, Frank had a standing rule that if one of the children moved out, his child from his former marriage or Beth's child, Marie, that they would not be allowed to move back home so that they couldn't play the parents against each other and go back and forth between the houses. So Frank said there was no way that Marie could come back home. Beth sided with Frank and told Marie she would have to go and live with her dad. So that's where Stephen came back into the picture in Marie's life on a regular basis. She was 16 and she had to go and live with her dad. Now, Stephen was very excited to have Marie coming to stay with him. Stephen had had some issues in his past, but he was just pulling himself together and getting a steady job, and he was very motivated by Marie coming to stay with him. He wanted to make her happy, he wanted to please her, so he was going out of his way to do things to make her happy. Marie only wanted to be with her mother. She was extremely unhappy because she was sleeping on the floor and she didn't have her own room. She wasn't mistreated at all by her father. He was doing all he could to please her. There was just no pleasing her, since all she wanted to do was be with her mother. Marie called her mother repeatedly to go home, but she was not allowed. Marie fell into a deep depression and even talked about killing herself. It got to the point where her mother was hanging up on her instead of listening to her cries. Although Marie was struggling at home, she still excelled in school. She was very bright, and her teacher spoke highly of her, stating that she was the perfect student. Marie was taking a chemistry class and had access to barium acetate. While experimenting with the chemical in class, Marie stole some barium that she planned to use to poison her dad so she could go back to her mother. Now, this is where it gets sketchy. Marie, who's very intelligent, says she didn't plan to kill her father, but she knew the effects of barium acetate on humans. She said she just wanted to make him sick, but making him sick wouldn't be enough for her mother to take her back, would it? Marie has the barium for a week before she takes the opportunity to poison her father. One night, Stephen brings home Mexican food for dinner, and Marie slips the barium acetate in his food. Stephen leaves to go to church. But he has to return because he's feeling so awful he can barely stand. Stephen passes away shortly after due to barium poisoning. Although Stephen did pass away from barium poisoning, at the time that was not known, and his death was ruled as a heart attack. A short time after the funeral, Marie is back with her mother, and her mother tells her that they're moving to Florida. Beth is leaving her husband. If Marie had just waited a few more days, she would have been back with her mother, and her father, who never hurt nor mistreated her, would still be alive. Her mother had planned for a few weeks before that she was already going to leave her husband and take Marie with her to Florida. She just hadn't told Marie the information yet, if she had have told her, Marie would not have killed her father. Fast forward to a few months later, Marie is studying with her best friend when she has a breakdown and admits to killing her father. Her friend Stacy was reading a passage from Hamlet where they're talking about poisoning, and Marie has a breakdown and lets her know that she actually poisoned her father with barium. Stacy was very overwhelmed with the information that she received from Marie, and she couldn't figure out what to do with the information because she was trying to stay loyal to her friend, but she also knew that what her friend had done was very wrong. So she did eventually speak to the police and let them know that Marie had told her she poisoned her father with barium. It took 8 months before the police were finally able to run the tests for barium acetate, and they found that Stephen had 250 times the amount of barium in his body that he should have. Stacy wanted to be a good friend to Marie, but she was beginning to wonder if Marie was a good person or if she wasn't a good person, because she couldn't understand how Marie could hurt her father the way she did, and her father never hurt her. She even went to prom and they posed for a picture together, and she thought everything could return to normal, but then she began to wonder what kind of person Marie really was that she could actually kill someone. Marie was brought in for questioning, and when they asked her about what happened and why she killed her father, the only thing she could say was, and I quote, "I just wanted to be with my mom so bad that I would do anything to be with her. I never thought anything through. I didn't realize what I was doing. I knew I had done something very, very wrong, but I did not think of myself as a criminal." So Marie's defense used the argument that she only wanted to make her father sick overnight. She didn't want to kill him. She only wanted to go home to be with her mom. So they made it seem like she didn't know exactly what was going on, even though this girl had a 95% in her chemistry class, and she knew the effects of barium because they had studied it in her class. The barium bottle that she got the barium from had a skull and crossbones on it and poison written in big red letters. Marie's mother used the money from the life insurance policy for her father to pay for her defense in the court case against her. She was found guilty and served 7 years in prison. She's now married with children and living under an assumed identity. Is Marie an evil murderer, or did she make a stupid decision being a child, maybe not understanding the full extent and repercussions of her actions? A man who was completely innocent and doing his best to provide for his daughter is now gone for doing his best to provide for his daughter. Rest in peace to Stephen Robards. So what do you think? Is Marie cold and calculated, or was she confused and traumatized? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in.